Hey everyone, first off, I just want to thank y'all for being patient. I just got back from vacation and want to be releasing a few videos about the places I've checked out. But I get it, the reason you guys are here. Stranger Things. So much happened last week on the podcast and I don't want to waste any more time. So today I'm going to be bringing you guys my thoughts on episode 3 of Rebel Robin, Surviving Hawkins. Just like episode 2, there will be some spoilers in this video. So yeah, chapter 3, the Inferno. It starts out with the stranger calling Mr. Hauser, harassing him, and it seems like this isn't the first time this has happened. Whoever's on the other end of the phone has information on him, and there's only so many times you can keep shrugging that shit off. I mean, could it be a prank call, or is he actually hiding something? We've been delving so much into Robin's stuff the past few episodes, it's finally nice to find out some juicy tidbits about Mr. Hauser. And of course, Robin walks in during this scene. From the last episode alone, we know the teacher deflects a lot of shit when it comes to focusing on him. But Robin keeps pressing about the matter. She's got his ass cornered. As the conversation cools off, we find out the reason for the episode's title. Robin is reading Dante's Inferno. I tried reading it myself in middle school, but I couldn't get through it. But hey, I beat the video game on Xbox 360. It's gotta count for something, right? So if that weren't enough, she's reading the Italian version of the book. This girl is super smart. A lot of kids in the 80s are listening to music, but Robin is just straight up listening to language tapes. She even hints at wanting to learn Russian, but any Stranger Things fan will know it'll be a few years before she dabbles in that. So from what Mr. Hauser can see from Robin so far, he knows she's holding back. She's way smarter than she acts. The comparison in this episode is that Dante traveled to the land of the living and the dead. In order to survive the trials, he had to be flexible, as does Robin. She's a huge nerd, yet she finds the need to come off as a slacker, living her life to the fullest in private, but trying to hide herself in public. She keeps over-explaining herself a lot in this episode, which makes me think that someone's gonna snap. And believe you me, there's a massive shitstorm coming. As the discussion gets more heated, Mr. Hauser briefly mentions a conversation that happened a few days ago, which is alluding to last week's episode. Okay, cool. We have a little bit more of a concrete timeline for the series. It's taking place entirely during Robin's sophomore year, and each episode is spaced a few days to a week apart. I love how frantic this episode is, though. These two go from talking about how Mr. Hauser is like the only teacher in Hawkins to actually give a shit about what he does. Side note, don't do my boy Mr. Clark dirty like that. Then it goes to Robin feeling like she's the only one who actually wants to learn. She feels that there's no dreamers in Hawkins anymore. Everyone is boring to her. Except for this girl, Tammy Thompson, apparently. Robin thinks Tammy is a potential interesting person. She's always walking down the hallways, singing, just living life carefree. She doesn't just care about school gossip or the next Madonna song. So Robin continues to go on and on about this girl. Mr. Hauser seems like he's picking up on something that I'm picking up on too, actually. It sounds like someone's got a crush. And if you guys have watched season 3 at all, Robin mentions this character in episode 7. Anyway, Mr. Hauser asks if it's tiring for Robin to have to translate herself all the time. By translating, I mean people who don't get a good read on you, so you have to explain yourself all the time. And as someone who isn't really religious or political, I feel like people have that problem with me too. But honestly, I don't give a shit. I used to, but if you really want to know me, just ask. Let's be real though, Robin isn't the only person out there who pretends to be someone else just to fit in. Just be yourself, y'all, and let people think whatever they want. Who cares? The third act is where this episode really gets interesting though. Robin keeps pressing her teacher about what him and Barb were talking about in private the other day, and Mr. Hauser snaps. He's just like, all right, you're prying about my conversations with Barbara, prying about my conversations with Nancy, and you're eavesdropping on my phone conversations? He starts to get so aggravated, you can hear it in his voice. It's pretty clear Robin is the jealous type. She can't even let her teacher talk to other students. God damn. It's not the only time she's shown jealousy though. Going back to that scene from season 3, she wished Tammy Thompson would have looked at her in class and not stupid Steve Harrington. All the little tie-ins and nods were very well placed in this audio drama. Writer Lauren Shippen just did her research. I gotta give her credit. So where things start to escalate is Robin links the disappearance of Barbara Holland to the conversation her and Mr. Hauser were having a little while back. So it seems to me that the whole reason why Robin was going to Mr. Hauser's classroom in the first place is because maybe she wanted help disappearing too? He already snapped once, but Jesus Christ, he let it all out here. He's just like aiding and abetting a 15-year-old girl. Are you kidding me? Whoa, this guy is so offended right now. He has every right to be that way. But during this conversation, Mr. Hauser gets so emotional and choked up about Barb running away. You can tell he's hiding something big though. Robin at this point is kind of pleading to her teacher like, no, you misunderstood me, like that's not what I meant. But it's too late. Robin got too wrapped up about her own shit that she didn't even stop and think about what others were going through. Things cool down a little bit. So the teacher confides in Robin about the prank calls he's been getting, saying they're targeted directly at him, being accused of a bunch of things. And from what I'm gathering, I think these phone calls, the reason for them is linked to Barb's disappearance, regardless of what Mr. Hauser says. To end things abruptly though, the teacher excuses himself to go to the library. But before he leaves, he tells Robin that he's got a lot of papers to grade, he's behind, and he doesn't want Robin coming to class during her free period for the rest of the week. The whole hostility aspect in this episode and the secrets about Mr. Hauser have me intrigued as hell about what happens next. This episode is by far my favorite of the first three. The conversations go from cold to hot. We learn a decent amount about our main characters, but in this episode, there's a lot of information about Barbara Holland too. Like I said, the references are on point too and elevate this episode even more than I thought possible. And if that weren't enough, someone calls Mr. Hauser's classroom, you know, like the little PA speaker or whatever that's on the wall, and Robin answers it. This mysterious person on the other end knows Robin's full name, warns her that Mr. Hauser isn't who he says he is and that he can't be trusted. So on top of all the positives I have for this episode, you're gonna leave me on a cliffhanger like that? Well, hey, at least episode 4 comes out this week, so we have that. I'm thinking Mr. Hauser has a sketchy past, like he worked at Hawkins' lab or something like that previously. Y'all remember how Dr. Brenner and all his goons were tapping into everyone's phones in season 1? Maybe it's linked to that and way more in depth than we think. Post your theories in the comments below, and once again, everyone, thanks for watching.